start. So, hi, Firefly volunteers. Hey, welcome to our May newsletter and catching up with awesome people for coffee. I have a coffee and I have an awesome person. Now, normally, what would happen in this instance, I would introduce this lovely individual. I'm going to tell you a little story first about this wonderful individual. So, I had the fortune of being at a Beyond Forward presentation. Beyond Forward social enterprise group run by another awesome individual, Candace, who I've already had coffee with. And Abbie was the guest presenter, talking about her little venture. And I'll let her tell you more about what her little venture is. But in essence, it was about motivational and inspirational, caring and loving letters. And I resonated so heavily with that because my mum loved a letter. I used to see her every week, and still she would say, you can send me a letter. So my mum would be so proud of my special guest today, Abbie Williams from Letters of Hope.
That's so sweet.
Thanks for being here, Ab. Thanks for catching up.
Thanks for having me.
And for sharing a cup of coffee.
Thank you.
So now we get back to the normal part where I say, so this wonderful, awesome individual, tell us about some of the good that you're doing.
Thank you. Well, I might start from the start and how Letters of Hope came to be.
Good idea. Why not?
Yeah. So I always struggled with my own mental health since being quite a young teenager. I've got a distinct memory of going to my high school open day where I'd meet my new teachers and new peers, and getting home and just being physically sick because I'd felt so anxious all day. And it's something that continued, I guess, into my teenage years. And I think just going through that experience gave me a bit of a passion and fire to want to help other people who might be feeling the same, because I think when you're in such a dark place, it can feel a bit like the world's a rubbish place. So I moved out here from the UK in 2017, and my lovely grandparents back in the UK started to give me life updates via handwritten letter. And I think going through the challenges of, moving countries, settling in somewhere, having my own anxiety kind of rear its head every now and then, I realised how uplifting opening one of their letters would be. But I think as well, just having the anticipation of checking the mailbox and knowing that something might be in there.
Not a bill, right?
Not a bill, yeah.
We all get good at these names, bills.
And just checking it every day, and then when you actually see something with handwriting on the front, knowing it's not a bill and it's something for me that, someone's actually taken the time to do. So I had a bit of a light bulb moment, and, I'd wanted to help other people struggling with their mental health for a while. I just never knew what that looked like. And so I decided that I wanted to give this beautiful experience to other people who might be feeling quite isolated, lonely, struggling with their mental health, just to try create a little moment where they see somebody cares for me and someone's taking the time to actually do this for me, and I am seen. So I started, just me, offering to send handwritten letters to people in the community who were struggling for whatever reason that might be. Initially met with a little bit of suspicion, I think. People were like, why are you asking for vulnerable people's email addresses? So I had to overcome a few of those barriers.
Sure.
But as soon as I started sending these letters out, handwriting, just trying to take myself to a place of what have I needed to hear in those moments, and what can I tell this person? Packing those letters with helpful resources. As soon as I started sending those letters out, you know, we got more and more requests. And lucky now, a fair few years later, to call it my full-time job. So I've got a whole volunteer base who write letters, often from a place of lived experience themselves. And we get those out to people who need to feel seen, I guess. Need to know that someone out there cares, and it's having such an impact, like more of an impact than I would have ever imagined such a small act could have, really.
Yeah. It's totally amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
It's so good. It's so good. So walk us through the letter number 1.
Yeah. So I remember, so I was just jumping in Facebook groups, right? And just being like, hey, my name's Abbie, I struggle. I know a lot of people out there struggle. You know, here's a little email address that I've made up, and it was a rubbish email address at the start, like real something at gmail.com. So it probably even looked a bit weird. And I actually remember having somebody reach out to me, and she said, you know, I'm just so deeply depressed. I've not left the house. I've just not left the house for weeks. I've barely left my room for weeks. I just want to be in bed, and I'm struggling to get the motivation to do anything. So I wrote her a letter, and it was just literally pen and paper. I think it was a piece of lined paper. Nothing jazzy or creative or anything. And I actually hand wrote at the time. We've got little cards that we put in now, but hand wrote, you know, all the contact numbers and resources that are available. And then a few weeks passed. I popped it in the mailbox to her, and I got this email sent through, and she'd sent me a photo of her holding the letter up, and her face was just lit up.
Yeah, wow.
And she said, you know, I got it, and, you know, just being able to look forward to it was the first thing. But she said, I opened it, read it, and, you know, I actually took myself out of the house for the first time in such a long time. And she'd taken herself to the shops. She'd done a bit of retail therapy, done a self-care day. I think she went and got a massage or something like that. And I think I was like, wow, you know, I know it's nice to receive something like that, but I just didn't anticipate that it would actually be that tangible for someone, you know, actually.
But you knew it would, right? Step. Because your brand's letters had the same impact on you. So subconsciously you went, this will work.
That's it. There's a reason I was doing it. There's a reason I started offering it. But I was still just so shocked to see such a tangible outcome, I think.
Yeah, which is just so awesome. But not only that, like this awesome individual as well. Apparently, like actually writing letters to someone that was in need wasn't enough. That you would just write letters and put them on park benches and places like this, on bridges for random people to find.
Definitely, and I still do that. So I'll often start my day with my morning coffee, and I'll handwrite a letter, and then when I go off on my morning walk, walking my dog Benji, I'll just hide them in places. Always places where people are going to walk past and see, and there's going to be, you know, quite a few people walk past that area. So I did one just last week, popped it on a little bridge on my walk, and I got an email that later that day saying, you know, I just wanted to let you know I really needed to see this today, and you've really made my day.
And do you find that there is a universal thing that the right person finds that letter?
Definitely. I've had so many people reach out and say, I really needed this today. You know, I had someone a few years back, she was on a walk because it was the 1 year anniversary of her husband passing away. And she just reached out and she was like, I can't believe I found this today.
So good.
So people seem to find it at the right moment, which is really special. A
bit like you, right? It's special.
Thank you.
Hey, and we're not the only ones that think Abbie's special. On the back of some of these like I'm really quite nervous today because Abbie is in the Firefly community. She is the guru interviewee. She's been interviewed by everyone in the world almost. It seems like you see these pop up ABC interview and the Channel 7 interview. So the fame, you're handling the fame okay, Ab?
Oh, it's been interesting, and do you know what? I think a lot of that is because it's just such a universal thing that people can wrap their head around and understand, like an act of kindness. We can all resonate that it makes a difference to our day.
Yeah.
And, you know, the way that people treat us can affect our mental health massively.
Yeah.
And I think letter writing as well, it's such a dying art now, so people are really intrigued when they hear about it. But something that's actually quite surprised me is I always knew it'd resonate, I guess, with adults.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm 29, and even I remember having a pen pal when I was in primary school. And
sure.
She was actually in Brisbane, funnily enough. I need to try and track her down.
Yeah, there we go. Mission out there. For anyone that knows Abbie's pen pal.
She was called Becky. That's all I remember.
Hey, Becky, if you're out there and you're a volunteer and you're watching the space, hook up with Abbie. She wants to say thank you. Yeah.
So I knew it'd resonate, but one thing that I was unsure of was, you know, even younger generations, is that something that would resonate with them? You know, a lot of kids now don't even handwrite anymore. They use devices in school.
What's handwriting?
Exactly. Yeah. But we've had schools get involved, like primary school kids getting involved, their teachers running these letter writing activities to donate to us. Mm-hmm. And I cannot, like, it just gives me goosebumps. They just know what to say and they know what to write, and like the feedback from the teachers is always, you know, they were so thrilled at this experience. So it's, the nice thing is it seems to resonate and kind of transcend generations.
Yeah.
Everyone can relate to it in some way, which has been really nice.
It is. Yeah. It's so good. I love it. So how can our general community help Abbie and the Letters of Hope? What can our volunteer community do, our corporate community? Our sponsors out there, obviously, letters, that's pens, paper, stationery is always good. So any of you out there that are listening and you want to help Abbie out with some stuff that they can write, because you have now like the most amazing growth rate as far as volunteers is concerned.
Yes.
You started with you.
Yeah.
And how many volunteer letter writers do you have now?
So we recently surpassed 800.
800.
Started with just me. So before I kind of left my corporate job, which happened in 2022, I think. Mm-hmm. End of 2022, we had 6 volunteers.
Wow.
So now in 2024, we've got over 800. Like, the growth has been massive. Mm-hmm. And you know, I remember being like, oh my gosh, how can I facilitate this now?
Yeah.
But it's been amazing. We've got a little volunteer Facebook group. I've got a stationery store where volunteers can order stationery for free. So we get stationery donated to us, and I put together stationery packs and send them out to people. So it's been pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty amazing. So awesome. Any stationery donations, we're always looking for more.
Yeah.
And yeah, just getting involved, jumping on our website, having a look at what we do, requesting a letter, becoming a volunteer, looking at the workplace service offerings that we offer, because that generates the funding so that we can do what we do.
Sure.
Yeah.
So for our community as well, that if they want to have a crack and just jump on your website and they can request a letter for themselves or somebody they know that
they can.
That might benefit from that, or they can offer to write one. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. Abbie's fantastic. So we did this little group session where she encourages all of us to write a letter.
Yeah.
To her. For the day. Which was it was an interesting process, but it's really, you know, there's two things that happen. I see the value for the recipient, but I found it's a really cathartic process as well for the writer.
So therapeutic. Like we've got volunteers who, as I say, most of them have got lived experience and the benefits that they're seeing by writing. Mm-hmm. And we've actually got a couple of volunteers who will have a notebook and they'll actually copy out the letters that they write to other people, and that's their go-to. You know, if they ever struggle, they open that up and they read those words that they've written to someone else for themselves. So a really therapeutic process. Definitely. Yeah.
It's almost the don't be a hypocrite book, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I'm saying all these good things to you, but I'm not reading them.
Yeah.
You know, that's good. So that's amazing. And again, any of our community out there that would like to help support Ab, because I think it's wonderful. And like I said, my mum would just be blown away with someone that said, I see the value.
Yeah.
You know, it was hard. A young kid, I'm playing soccer and I'm back and forth to Melbourne. And I love my mum to death. And she would say, you know, I'll go, Mum, anything I can do this week? And she goes, oh, you could write me a letter.
Yeah.
I go, Mum, I'm going to see you on Friday. And she goes, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I probably didn't realise the value it had to her.
Yeah.
Like you said, that whole walk down to the letterbox and see if there was a letter. Even though, like it was 5 days apart from seeing her, and I was home every weekend.
And it's such a tangible thing as well. Like you can reread it, and I don't know, it just means something. It's less temporary than kind of other forms of communication. You put it out there and it exists now.
It does.
Yeah.
You know, and on that basis, and your inspiration as well. You know, I mean, Mum passed away 5 years ago now, and but you've motivated me. So every year on her birthday, I write a letter, and at Christmas I write a letter.
Sweet. I love that.
You know, I'm sort of a bit of one of those spiritual guys that I believe that she reads it anyway.
That's so sweet.
So it's just a good time to have a chat with Mum.
I like that a lot.
Might be a bit late as far as the practical world is concerned, but it's not.
It's not.
So, and it's you know, it's a great way for me to stay connected to Mum.
Absolutely, you would feel that connection.
Yeah. So enough of that before we start tearing up.
I know.
So we're here as well because obviously Abbie is a member of the Firefly community.
Yes.
So one of the questions I ask my awesome guests is, tell me a little bit about Firefly, what you thought, what you think, and what your experience has been so far.
So I remember coming across Firefly, and probably the same week that I came across it, I remember just having this fleeting thought of, I wish there was a way or a platform that existed out there where my volunteers could be recognised and, you know, really have that recognition of the hard work that they do. Because as a founder, you know, I just get so much guilt still. I'm like, these amazing people are giving their time for free, and you just want to be able to reward them, and you just want to be able to genuinely thank them for what they're doing. So I remember coming across Firefly and being like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I was thinking of. Just a platform where I think, first of all, where people can log their hours and just have that self-recognition of, this is how much I'm putting into this. I think that's important, because sometimes people just contribute and it's part of their day and they don't realise how much they do. So I think, first of all, that's really important. But second of all, just actually being able to have them rewarded for the work that they put in, and they often do it from the goodness of their heart and they don't expect anything in return. But I think being able to give people that is really special. So I was really excited, and still am really excited to be able to provide that platform to our volunteers. Yeah, it's amazing.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's funny, you know, because you mentioned about the self-validation. I had a conversation with one of our other volunteers who like volunteers at Truck Pile, and I know her personally. And I said, listen, I've just had a look at your profile and it seems to be slowing down and you're not logging the hours. And she goes, oh, look, you know what I realised is that I've got this tool now that actually shows me how many hours I'm doing. And my husband's going like, you're always doing this thing and you're out here and you're doing this and you're doing... Anyway, and she thought, so that, like, I can't actually show him how many hours I do because that will validate his case.
Oh, no.
So I said, what are you talking about? Anyway, she goes, because like it's now obvious, it's in my face. It's like 628 hours of volunteering for the year. And she said, but here's what your platform did. I did this event, cinema reward, like a redemption, right?
Yeah.
And I said, oh, listen, I hope you got nothing on next Tuesday because we're going to the movies. And he says, what? We're going to just go to the movies. Anyway, so we're in the movies and we did all that sort of stuff. And he said, who's paying for all this? She goes, my volunteering time.
Oh, I love that. No,
And he
like,
goes, really? Yeah. All right, go and do some more. Get out there. So it was really funny that on one hand it was like that whole, wow, I really do a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, that's great. I mean, that was our aspiration. It still is our aspiration, because there is so many awesome people out there doing great things.
Definitely.
And, you know, and our platform is about supporting those people that are doing good, e.g. like you, because it goes so unseen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And especially like, you know, yours is sort of a bit of a covert charity. It's not big bells and whistles and door knock appeals. And for everyone that didn't see that, I spilled my coffee. Well, that's okay.
It is windy out here.
It is windy.
That's why I've got mine firmly
and we can't edit that bit. But anyway. Yeah, so back to yours a bit more covert.
Yeah.
You don't do door knock appeals and all those sort of things. And they're all great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But who would know that a letter has gone from somebody anonymously to somebody else?
Yeah, that's it.
Do you know what I mean? And does so much good.
Yeah.
And when you look across the platform, you know, with 5.9 million people, you know, we were having a conversation whilst we were ordering coffee about the Multi-Birth Association. It's like, I didn't even know that such a thing would exist. So when you start to deal in all these little pockets of that, but one of the things I wanted to do just quickly and on a more serious note, because it's a bit concerning, you know, and I know that your platform is about supporting people that are struggling with, you know, mental wellness and life, and to you know, those circumstances. But I'm getting a bit concerned because some of my good friends that are all founders of these great volunteer organisations are in the same boat. So how can we support the founders more? How can we, you know, they're going through this mental gymnastics of, like you said, it's, how do I say thank you to all these 800 people and the burden of that pressure that's coming back? Because, you know, if it's happening to me on a local process and, you know, 4 of the founders that I know have all had to have sabbaticals and go, I just need to get away and shut down and I'm not coping too well at the moment. How do we support founders that are going through that process as well?
Look, I think it's really important, and I'm happy to kind of candidly share my own experience, and that is that I am one of those 4 people.
Well, I didn't say it. Abbie brought that up.
And I would not for the world change the work that I do, not for the world. But there have certainly been times as a founder where my own mental health has been impacted, and I'm not scared to share that, because I think sometimes as founders we do share the highlight reel. You know, we share the successes, the press stories, oh look, I've been nominated for this award, or you know, I did this great talk and I've impacted these great people, because we want to show people this is the good that we're doing. But what people don't share as much, and what, you know, you and I probably see more of because we're friends with founders, is the reality, which is the pressures that come with being a charity founder or a social enterprise founder, and just having so much to juggle. And I think not just, you know, the practicalities that come with being a founder, but also the emotional load. Often we're doing work in spaces where we are exposed to sad things, you know. Every day I'm seeing the letter requests that come in, and you know, the reasons that people need help and support, and that's often really sad. So kind of at the end of the day I have to process the stuff that I see. Again, wouldn't change it for the world, and it does keep me motivated to do what we do. But I think there's a consistent theme. The more founders that I meet and get to know, the more we kind of have this unified experience of struggle and mental health impact of the work. I think it probably does sometimes come down to us needing more support. In the mental health space, in particular, I think, it would be great to see some kind of initiative where there is that support for founders or specific counselling for founders. But I think all the other worries that come with it, so the financial support,
Sure.
I love running a charity, but a lot of my mental load is, where are we going to pull funding in from next? How can I make sure that I can keep doing this as my full-time job?
Yeah.
How can we sustain the business and make more of an impact? So I think the financial support element is really critical.
Yeah.
And also just checking in on each other. Like, you've been amazing at that. We met last year. I had, for the first few months of 2024, some personal challenges happening and my own mental health struggles going on. And I became a bit hard to pin down, but you persisted.
Yeah.
I'd still get a text or a phone call or a voicemail just saying,
or a voicemail that says, I'm going to ring you every day until you answer me. Yeah.
Which I think is so important. Just checking in on each other is absolutely crucial. And it's probably the one thing that goes such a long way. And it goes back to what I believe in, and it's that social connection and how much of an impact that can have on someone's mental health.
Well, look, it's one of those things that we value as well. There's so many opportunities for us to disengage with everybody else. There's violence going on in the world, and financial and economic difficulties, and so it's easy to become recluse.
Yeah.
It's just $22 a month gets me Netflix and isolation.
Exactly.
And before you know it, you've now isolated.
Yeah.
And now you're going, well, now I would like to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But I'm not there. And I think that's part of the process. I mean, we are a little different, obviously, with Firefly.
Yeah.
Because we see lots and lots of different organisations, from the small organisations like yours, which isn't so small anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To the larger nationals. So if I ask you a question about our corporate environment, because there's a lot of corporate responsibility.
Yeah.
As far as, because at the end of the day, if you're not a founder or an entrepreneur and run your own corporation, then you're an employee generally of a corporation.
Yeah.
And we find that there is a big detachment in that space as well, that, it's a job, I go to work.
Yeah.
I don't really have a great deal of social connectivity because it may or may not be that I necessarily like the people that I work with.
Yeah.
From a social perspective, like I can work with them comfortably, but we see this overarching thing. It's one of our big missions at Firefly is to start punching some corporates, square in the face and saying, hey, listen, these people in society are your customer.
Yeah.
And these people in society, especially our volunteers, who are either serving others that are your customers.
Yeah.
It's time now that we started to move that corporate social responsibility further down the track.
Definitely.
And get down to grassroots. So we're 100% on that mission to try and help. And if that can be just from those two things of assistance with funding, or assistance with rewards and discount platforms,
100%.
then we'll be okay with the job we've done. So what would be, if there's anything that we could do to help improve the Firefly platform? Say no. Say there's nothing. No,
absolutely
nothing. Anything that you think that we could do that would make it better?
No, genuinely can't think of anything that you can do to make it better, but I think it goes back to what you just said. More organisations getting behind what you're doing, getting them on the platform, getting them offering the rewards, because at the end of the day, we're talking about corporate social responsibility a lot more. I know, my background pre being a charity founder was HR. I know from conversations with colleagues, with conversations that I had pre-Letters of Hope, people are looking to work somewhere where their employer gives back, and it's as simple as that. And it's not an option anymore, it's actually an expectation. It's, I will not work somewhere if they don't care about corporate social responsibility. So I think just organisations recognising, hey, I need to get on this platform, give to the volunteers, or I need to give back in some way is so important. And it's actually going to be more beneficial to them because they will get the people that they want to get on board.
Yeah.
Because they'll be able to demonstrate we care more than, we care about more than just this company. We care about the community.
Yeah, look, and it's all good. I mean, you set up companies and you create opportunity and you create employment.
Yeah.
And you create a profitable outcome for yourself, and that's all good.
Yeah.
We got nothing wrong with companies making money.
Yeah.
It's that process of, do I make money instead of?
Yeah.
Or can I make money as well as?
As well as, always, 100%. You know what I mean? Like, it never has to be a disadvantage to an organisation.
Yeah.
I think the benefits of making that commitment will give you a return on investment 10 times over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simple as that.
It is. So last one. We've talked a lot with just about every guest about the size of the not-for-profit space in Australia.
Yeah.
We have 270,000 not-for-profits. We've about 67,000 charities. About 80,000 grassroots sporting clubs.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we see again is that every not-for-profit, and not everyone, but almost without exception, that they're so siloed and focused on their particular purpose and mission that we are not seeing opportunities in relation to collaboration.
Yeah.
And we know that from a funding point of view, there is not enough government money to go around.
Yeah.
I mean, the last government announcement, which was the $10 million fund, at $1,000, get your local MP to write a letter of support for your organisation, and there's $1,000 funding. So we go, okay, so 10 million divided by 1,000, so that's 10,000 charities that can be helped with that fund.
Yeah.
Which leaves 260,000 charities that can't be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we look at it, and we talked a lot, and we try and we see it really obviously because we're sort of outside that circle, and well, like this organisation. And one of the things that we've seen, and I don't know if you know or not, but one of our other great organisations, the Business of Smiles, has appointed me one of the directors. So I'm on the board there, helping out Scotty and the team down there. And life is better with a smile, which is our new catchphrase. Life is better with a smile, because it is. Yeah. But we're looking at, I think we've identified about 162 different charities, not-for-profits, that are all focusing on men's mental health.
Yeah.
Individually.
Yeah.
All trying to pull money from the same resource. Yeah. So my question is, in Letters of Hope, and what other organisations that we may be able to introduce you to, or can you think of that can help as a collaborative for Letters of Hope?
Yeah, honestly, I agree with you. I think there's so much opportunity for people to come together and work towards the same or similar purpose and just support each other. Like, my take with a lot of the world's issues is that it does take an entire community effort, and so the more people that can get in on it, the better. And I think for Letters of Hope, as I say, it's such a universal thing. People struggle for all kinds of different reasons, and the other charities and organisations that we've connected with so far just range from all kinds of issues. So I think ultimately, any in that mental health space, we're all working towards the same thing. But any organisation, like if we can get letters out to their service users, for example, how good would that be? Like, they're already accessing it. There's a lot of charities already accessing people who are struggling. So if we can partner with them and get letters out to those people, run little projects together, like, that would be huge. We've got so many volunteers and so many letters coming in, so we just need to find ways to make sure we can get all those letters out to people.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to make your life worse. Here's a challenge to all our Firefly community. Do yourself a favour, jump on Abbie's website, which is lettersofhope.care.
Yeah.
That's a bit funky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lettersofhope.care. Have a look at the rest of Abbie's story, and then my challenge to all the Firefly volunteers out there is just spend a few minutes and write Abbie a letter to say thanks for how awesome she is and how awesome you are. I mean, we think you're all amazing. We love the good that you do. It's been so good catching up.
Thank you. It has.
Thank you so much for spending some time, for sharing a bit of your story and your journey with our community, and we look forward to seeing 8,000 letter writers.
Yeah, can't wait.
With Letters of Hope. So thanks, Ab.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll see you next month. Hope you enjoyed the newsletter this month. We've got some really exciting things coming up. We've got a couple of webinars that are in there, so don't miss them. Courtney and myself are going to be sharing some of our personal story about how Firefly started and what it's all about and where we come from and what we're trying to achieve. Love what you do. Keep being awesome, and thanks for all the good. See you next week, next time, next month.
Love that.
Thanks, Ab. That was awesome.
Thank you.